Today's date is Monday, June 12th, 2017. I call to order this meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. Before proceeding with tonight's agenda, I would like to remind everyone in attendance that this meeting is being recorded through audio and video technologies. At this time, I ask everyone to silence or turn off all electrical devices. Thank you very much. Ms. Woods, was this meeting properly posted?
Yes.
And do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
We do have a quorum. Thank you very much. We will now have opening exercises.
President Richard, school board members, Mr. O'Brien. We will begin the opening ceremonies with the prayer led by Ricky Clem. Everyone, please rise.
Would you bow with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time when we can come together as a community to make important decisions that will mold and shape our future for our children in Goose Creek. We ask for your guidance, your wisdom, and your leadership as we make decisions pointing us in that direction tonight. As everybody leaves this place tonight, we ask for safe travel, that they make it home in a safe manner with no harm. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 The pledges will be led by Valeria Sixtos from Robert E. Lee High School and Jalen Oliva St. Romain from Goose Creek Memorial.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated.
Public hearing. Right. At this time, we're on agenda item 3, public hearing, the discussion of the 2017-18 proposed budgets for Goose Creek ISD. Ms. Grimes?
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent O'Brien, and guests, members of the board. We'd like to just do a brief overview, can you hear me, of the District 17-18 budget proposal. We've had several workshops to cover the material, so at this point, for the public hearing, I will only cover the highlights. Starting with planning assumptions, the Senate and House could not reach a compromise on the school finance bill, House Bill 21, during the 85th legislative session. Therefore, a few changes were made to our initial planning assumptions. We removed the additional state funding that was initially included in the budget based on the anticipated passage of the House version of the bill. To note, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced last Wednesday that he's calling the legislature back into session on July 18th. So there's still the potential of some items to affect public school finance based on the outcome of the special session. We actually anticipated this scenario, so we were able to adjust our proposal, our initial proposal, by increasing some revenues that were conservatively estimated and decreasing one-time facility repair and maintenance expenditures to keep the budget revenue neutral, or what we refer to as balanced. Also, we've provided information, if you'll notice at the bottom of the slide, regarding accelerated instruction, and just want to point out that the district maintains separate documentation of these expenditures. Let's actually go back. In summary, the new funds available is the Austin ISD yield increase, as is provided for in current law, and funding for any new enrollment. The remainder of the 17-18 budget proposal is an estimate. Just note that it may be amended if warranted. We'll know more at the end of the special session. This estimated preliminary property value, the taxable property values, stays the same as you've seen in prior workshops. On the enrollment numbers, there's been some modest changes to these figures after we received the final cumulative 6 weeks PIMS data. The proposed tax rate, as we've discussed, is $1.43 per $100 valuation. Debt service fund. The debt service fund reflects total revenue of $30.8 million and expenditures of $36.2 million. Also an operating transfer in from the general fund of $5,750,000. This results in excess revenue of approximately $375,000, which is designated for the 2005A QZAB escrow account. The nutrition budget. It's a balanced budget with revenues and expenditures equal to $14.4 million. The capital improvement fund. As a reminder, the adoption of the annual budget for this fund is not a legal requirement, but rather a presentation for informational purposes. Since the funding for the projects accounted for in this fund is derived from local or general fund resources, there are no additional funds appropriated for capital projects at this time. We did appropriate $2.5 million in the current budget for the technology, for the new technology facility. The general fund proposed budget, total revenue of $214.8 million with expenditures of $209 million for operations and $5,750,000, the same transfer you saw on the debt service side. That was a transfer in. This is the transfer out to the debt service fund. This results in a balanced budget and has an estimated ending fund balance of $68 million, of an estimated $68 million. This is equivalent to 33% of our annual operating expenditures and exceeds our fund balance target balance of 25% operating reserve. Let's see. This pie graph just reflects the percentage of our general fund revenues. This is a repeat. Local revenue represents 62% of our resources, and the state provides 32%. Major expenditures for the general fund. This graph just reflects the major expenditures. Salaries and benefits account for 83%. Materials and supplies and services represent 12%. And property insurance, 1.2%, utilities, 3.4%. It's just a major breakdown of those costs. Also, this is a breakdown of expenditures by function. The budget is adopted at the function level, so we've provided a percentage breakdown of these various budget functions. Note that instruction and school leadership together account for 68% of expenditures. Student support services, the largest of which is transportation, account for 11%. Non-student support services, mostly of which is facilities, maintenance, and operations, account for 16%, and this leaves 5% for all other functions. So finally, the summary of all adopted proposed budgets for 17-18 has total revenues of $260 million and total expenditures of $259.7 million. And this concludes a brief overview for the public consideration. One final item is we provided just a breakdown of FTE changes for the upcoming year, and then we've covered the compensation plan in previous meetings. Okay. Thank you.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for Ms. Grimes before I open it to public comments?
Is the basic allotment increased because of the Austin yield or other reasons?
The basic allotment, it's pretty much stays the same. There is an incremental revenues to the district because the Austin yield is applied to those enrichment pennies.
Okay.
And that was the increases that are applied to those pennies were already in the current law.
Right.
There was no new funding for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as this is a public hearing, I'd like to invite anyone in the audience who would like to address the board concerning this presentation to please step forward to the podium at this time. Dr. Duarte will hand you a microphone. Hearing none, I close this public hearing, and we will now move to agenda item 4, recognitions and acknowledgments. Also, let the record show that Mr. Laredo did arrive at 6:34 p.m.
The following 2016-2017 seniors are being recognized for having perfect attendance from kindergarten through 12th grade. We would like to congratulate these students for their dedication and hard work throughout their education. The community has come together to provide a congratulatory gift for these students, and participating locally is San Jacinto Methodist Hospital, Community Toyota Honda Kia, BDI Resources Incorporated, Community Resource Credit Union, Texas First Bank, ExxonMobil, City of Baytown, and Hotchkiss Disposal Services. And we've got Jim Watzinski here with Community Toyota Honda Kia, who's going to help give out these gifts. So the first student I'd like to recognize, and a great thing is we've got one from each high school. So the first one is Adolfo Amador from Ross S. Sterling High School. If you'll come on up.
Can we turn off the, Randy, can we, okay. They're going to turn off the,
One more.
From Goose Creek Memorial High School, we have Jalen Oliva St. Romain.
yes, sir.
And from Robert E. Lee High School, we have Valeria Sixtos.
I was worried about that.
Can I get hold of you over here?
If we can have the parents of these three students stand up, we'd like to give you a round of applause. And we expect this attendance in college or university also, guys. Our next recognition, we will have Coach Mulvaney, our athletic director, come up, and he will present the athlete student recognitions as well as athletic resolutions.
Thank you, Dr. Duarte. President Richard, Board of Trustees, Mr. O'Brien, it's my honor and my privilege to bring up two student athletes today that placed at the state track meet last month. Our first one is Ariana DeValcourt. Ariana, if you'll come on up. Coach Locke, come on up as well, and Coach Jones, where are you? Come on up. You can get in this picture too. Ariana placed third in the 6A girls long jump competition. Yes, third. Ariana is coached by Coach Bobby Locke right here, the head girls track coach, and we have our campus coordinator, Mr. Bren Jones.
One more. Thank you.
Our second one is Julian Gillum. Julian, will you come on up? By Danny Southall. Danny, come on up. Yeah, we can clap for Danny too. Julian placed sixth in the 6A 300-meter hurdles. And again, like I said, Julian's coach is Danny Southall right here.
What did you place in?
We certainly congratulate these students on their accomplishments and representing Goose Creek CISD at the state level at the state track meet. Thank you, Ariana. Thank you, Julian. Danny, come on back. Okay. Coach Locke, come on back. Come on, Bobby. Coach Brett. Definitely an awesome accomplishment. So, Coach Jones, yes, you need to sneak in there.
Bring the kids forward.
I think we need to have Coach Locke in front and everybody behind him. Just kidding.
One more. Got it. Thank you.
With that, since we have Coach Locke and Coach Southall up here, if you'll stay up here for a moment, we have 10 resolutions from our spring sports. And I'm not going to read every resolution because that would take quite a bit, but I'm going to hit the highlights. And the first group that we're going to hit is our girls track team, which the Board of Trustees resolution states, recognizing the outstanding achievement of the Goose Creek Memorial High School girls track team, which was a 21-6A district qualifier, area finalist, regional finalist, and state finalist. And again, that was Coach Bobby Locke. He's the head coach of that team. Coach Danny Southall, the Board of Trustees is going to recognize the outstanding achievement of the Goose Creek Memorial High School boys track team, which was a 21-6A district qualifier, area finalist, regional finalist, and state finalist. Coach Calhoun, you'll be next, so if you want to make your way up here.
Get some more signatures. We don't have one problem.
Exactly. Nobody wants a half-signed resolution. It was funnier when it came out.
Good job. Yeah.
Next up, we have Coach Calhoun. Coach Calhoun, if you'll make your way up, we are going to recognize the outstanding achievement of the Goose Creek Memorial High School girls softball team, which was a 21A district playoff qualifier and by district finalist. go, Brent. Take a picture. Coach Fanning, you're going to be next, so if you want to make your way on up here. Coach Smith, if you'll represent as well. Come on up, Coach Smith. You can join Coach Fanning and join this fun. Next up, we have Coach Fanning, and we are recognizing the outstanding achievement of not only the boys' water polo team, but also the girls' water polo team, which also was a district qualifier and regional finalists. Get in there in that picture. Coach Tremmel, if you want to make your way on up. Our next resolution. Since you're the assistant campus coordinator representing, you can stay up here, Coach. Our next resolution is for boys and girls tennis, recognizing the outstanding achievement of the Ross S. Sterling girls and boys individual tennis group that was not only a district qualifier and area finalist, but also regional finalists for both the boys and the girls. All right, Coach McDowell, you're on up. We're recognizing the outstanding achievement of the Ross S. Sterling High School boys track team, which was a 21-6A district qualifier, area finalist, and regional finalist. Boys track. Next up, we're recognizing the outstanding achievement of the Ross S. Sterling High School girls track team, which was a 21-6A district qualifier, area finalist, and regional finalist. This is Coach Tara Aguilar and the girls track team from Ross S. Sterling. Good. And finally, we have one more resolution, but Coach Charles Southall couldn't be here this evening. He has retired, and he's on vacation. But I wanted to give him some recognition because at Robert E. Lee High School, in the tenure of Robert E. Lee High School, we have only had 3 track coaches, and that is because of the awesome job Coach Southall has done and with his tenure. So I want to recognize the outstanding achievement of the Robert E. Lee High School boys track team, which was a 21-5A district qualifier, area finalist, and regional finalist. Coach Southall and his 20-plus years of recognition, we certainly appreciate him. Oh. Thank you.
All right, we welcome Mr. Ben Poppy, who's arrived for the meeting tonight. Mr. Garcia has noted what time he arrived. Okay, item 5 on our agenda is citizens participation. Ms. Garcia, sign up. No one has signed up for citizens participation. We will move to our first, another action item, approval of minutes, 6A, the special board meeting of canvassing the election on May 15th, 2017. I believe I was present. Ms. Woods. Okay. So Ms. Woods.
I move that we approve the minutes of the special board meeting on May 15th, 2017.
Good, I second that motion. All that were in attendance and approved, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 2 in the affirmative. Everyone else was absent for that day. Thank you. 6B, May 22nd, Top 10 recognition and regular board meeting.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from May 22nd, top 10 recognition and regular board meeting.
A second.
We have a motion from Ms. Woods, a second from Mr. Clem to accept the May 22nd Top 10 recognition and regular board meeting minutes as presented in our packet. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. We have 6 in the affirmative, 1 absent at this time. Okay. Moving on to 7, discussion items, superintendent reports. Mr. O'Brien?
First up for our superintendent's report this evening, we have District of Innovation final report being presented by Dr. Duarte and I believe the ILC team members.
We have 3 of our ILC members here with us today. We have Melanie Christensen from Victoria Walker Elementary. We have Brian Valenta, who is at Lee High School, and we've got Cody Griffin, who is at Sterling High School. We also have a handful of ILC reps. Being summertime, it's really hard to get people here, but would you guys stand up? All of our ILC. Volunteered to go through the plan with the board, so I'm going to step out of the way and let them present. What I do want to say is it was a true honor working with this group this year. They put in a lot of hours. They were a liaison between ILC and the campus and brought feedback back to the group and really had a commitment to work on this plan. So I do thank them, and I'll be behind you if y'all need any help.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is the basic timeline that the ILC committee looked at from February all the way to our present time. If there's any questions on it, now we can move forward. This is our first topic, which I believe calendars.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Valenta. I teach at Robert E. Lee High School. I've been there for 15 years. I was certainly a happy member to be on the ILC committee. A lot of discussion back and forth and was taking place. A lot of input from teachers all across the district. So one of the items that we wanted to look at was the flexibility of starting the school year. We proposed that we start school no earlier than the second Monday in August. Now that does not mean it's in concrete. That means we have the flexibility of doing that. And one of the reasons that we thought about that is such. For example, last school year we started on August 21st. This year we start on August 28th. That's a week difference, which pushes everything further. It makes the first semester shorter, makes the second semester longer. So what we want to do is have the flexibility of balancing those semesters, especially with semester courses, which gives us a better opportunity to work with scope and sequence, planning, and so forth, and giving the students the ability to really have 2 full semesters. So that's why we're proposing this for our District of Innovation.
Any questions? Now, the next topic that we discussed was certification. Now, the very first thing that you will notice up at the top is actually something that is already in Texas state law. This is not anything new that the committee created, but just to briefly go over it, it basically just states that an individual with experience in CTE fields, basically that has any kind of vocationary skill like welding or anything of that nature can basically have a local teaching certificate be approved through the principal, then through the superintendent. Like I said, this is all things that are already currently in law. So we basically looked at that and kind of adapted it to a broader range and did it more for every campus that had the ability to really incorporate it. So basically what we suggested was allow teachers to teach outside of their actual certification. And so this would allow a teacher to basically, if their certification was K through 6th grade, and they have a generalist certification, they can literally teach anything, according to the state of Texas. Well, the only thing in a junior high they can teach is 6th grade. And so if they're highly qualified enough to teach 6th grade, the state of Texas and everybody else agrees that they're qualified to teach 6th grade, we just basically said that as long as they are in their level of junior high, that we would be able to allow them as a district to teach 7th and 8th grade as well. We wouldn't move that teacher all the way to high school out of something that they're already not doing, but just allows them to give the school more options and for us to retain highly qualified teachers. Now, on the secondary level, teachers must be get a little tongue-tied here, sorry about that, must be certified in the content area. So if there is a teacher that does English, we're not going to move them to math. If they do English, they have to be some way connected to that in that certification that we're going to move them out of. Now, the way that this would be done, this would be submitted to the area executive director with final approval and then brought to the board. And so the big justification here is it fits areas of need as well as it helps us retain teachers and gives them the ability to look for opportunities to help them grow as well.
I noticed that on this section here you have within their campus grade span with written teacher consent. Does that mean the consent of the teacher that would be moved out of their area? So we wouldn't be placing them somewhere they're not.
Correct. That was one of the things that we wanted to make sure that teachers were protected on in this, was that if a teacher is going to be moved, the teacher
must give consent.
Yeah, they have full consent on it. And if that teacher does not want to, then they're not going to be forced into it.
Can I give on the CTE field, how does what's written in the plan differ from Education Code 21.005, which allows that to happen with CTE and teachers in the first place?
Well, basically, according to the first part with CTE, that only follows under CTE. Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to allow an English teacher at like the 6th grade level to be able to teach English for 7th and 8th, then that doesn't fall under that. It'd have to be that.
Okay. You seem to be specifying CTE as a big portion of this exemption.
Oh, no. We were basically just stating in the beginning that this is already something that the state does.
Right.
So it basically as an example of this is something that we're already doing, we're just expanding it from CTE to now every content area.
Okay, so Texas Administration Code 230.71 allows that to happen with teacher consent.
Correct.
How is our plan different?
Yeah, just reinforcing it.
Sir, it does not. It's basically showing that this is a something that's already being done by the state of Texas, so we're just expanding upon that. It's basically an example of something that already is in place. We're not changing it one word.
Yeah, we're not by any means putting a special focus on CTE.
Okay. And I'm reading from not your PowerPoint, but from the document that's been online.
Okay.
Where it says at a secondary level, the teacher must be certified within that content area.
Correct.
Okay. That's really vague because CTE teachers are secondary teachers, but we're going to hire people not certified. So what's it going to be?
For example, if I have a CTE person, they can teach anywhere within the CTE area. What we're expanding upon is this. So down the hall for me is a teacher who is certified in history, and that's his only certification. However, if our school needs take the place where he teaches half a day of history, and I really need him to teach half a day of world geography, I can't do that because of the fact he's only certified in history. So do I change a lot of things around, or do I ask him to come in and say, hey, we'd really like for you to teach world geography. I know you're not certified. However, with your permission, we would like for you to teach world history or world geography or world geography. And he would have to agree to that. He would say yes. So the principal and the teacher would sign off. It would go to the area executive area director for their approval also. And if all say yes, then it would come here to the board, and you would certify him to be allowed to teach world geography. Now the thing is, it doesn't transfer to another district. It's strictly just here.
I do understand all of that, and I appreciate your explanation, but I still question the sentence, at a secondary level, the teacher must be certified within that content area. That's all it says. So what would your example of I'm certified to teach world history but not American history contradicts that sentence.
Well, what you're looking at is it's within the social studies realm. So when I look at every course that can be taught in social studies, that allows them to work within that content area. So if I'm certified biology and I can teach chemistry, and that's in the area of science, and we're going to do that. What it was I'm not going to take a science teacher and put them in a social studies content area. So it's remaining within that content. Is what they meant.
And then the area executive director will provide final approval on moves outside the teacher certification, and you went on to say that it's going to be brought to the board for approval, and that's not in your document. The board approval is not in your document.
Oh, I apologize, sir.
So is that going to be a step or not?
That is not a step in the plan at this point.
I apologize for that, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions concerning? Mr. Clem, are you okay with the sentence, or is there any more clarification that you need?
I just think it's vague. It doesn't go with what you said.
With what, the content area?
Yeah. It's a very vague sentence.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Melanie Christensen, and I'm from Victoria Walker Elementary, and I'm going to discuss the classroom ratio sizes. Right now, currently, we have a 22-to-1 ratio in kinder through 4th grade classes, so we're just reiterating that again, but we would also like to bring that cap down to the 22-to-1 ratio in pre-kindergarten classrooms. The one thing that we are looking at is right now, when that classroom gets the 23rd child, that they do put in for a waiver. So we would say when they reach 24-to-1, that it would also come to the board. And as long as that classroom stays at that 24-to-1 ratio, that at each board meeting it would be readdressed again. As it currently stands, it's addressed one time when that classroom hits that 23-to-1 ratio, and then it's never really looked at again. Also, currently right now, there is no cap on 5th grade, and so we have asked that a 25-to-1 ratio be put in for the 5th grade classrooms, and that once that classroom reaches 27-to-1, that it would again come to the board each time that classroom remains over for approval. We're also asking that a letter be sent home to the parents at the second 6 weeks and at the fourth 6 weeks. And the whole reason for that fourth 6 weeks coming in is a lot of times we see a lot of new enrollment after the Christmas holidays. So those are the 2 times of year that we see the numbers really drastically jump up. And our justification for this is that we feel that these higher numbers impact student achievement, and sometimes we don't feel that the board or the general public taxpayers are aware that our classrooms are sitting at these high numbers.
So we're going to request an exemption from 25.112 on class sizes to actually strengthen,
yes, sir,
instead of weaken that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a question. The letters to parents, is that going to be an automatically every parent's going to get one, or is only going to be addressed to parents of students who may be in a class that's
Yes.
not meeting the ratio?
If your child is sitting in a classroom that is not meeting that 25-to-1 mandate or that 22-to-1 mandate, then you would receive a letter notifying you of that.
So who would determine if you got 10 classrooms, you got 27, 28 students, who would determine who would determine who would be moved or whatever? What are you going to do about the 27-to-1? Are you going to try to get it back to 22-to-1? Are you going to move kids from that classroom to another classroom? Who would determine that?
So within this plan, you're looking at it being addressed to the board with either a recommendation or a waiver by the board. So it may be a request for an additional teacher, and then they would have a plan in place to address the number of students. But it's something that would be presented to the board with options.
And that would be similar, Dr. Duarte, to what we currently do at the end of the first 6 weeks every year as it is.
Correct.
We evaluate every classroom, and we move students and teachers around the district as needed to comply with the 22-to-1.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But currently, do we get that report at the board at the beginning of the year currently?
In October, when the waiver is sent to the state. But there is nothing from the board that says this is how we're going to address it, this is what we need to do. We're asking for that next level of, we've got to do something to control class sizes. We can't continue enrolling.
But I'm still asking the question is, out of 27 students, who picks you to come out of this class and go to another class? Who makes that decision?
Currently, I know on my campus it's the principal.
Yeah.
The principal.
Do we still, I'm sorry, do we still move kids from school to balance? And how is that decided?
That occurs at central office.
Is it last in, first out?
And as soon as they hit that magic number, then they look at kind of that zoning of the nearest campus that has space available for that grade.
Because we have to provide that transportation, right? Okay.
Any further questions?
Contracts. So the ILC met and discussed probationary contracts. Currently, from my understanding, all new teachers that are hired are on probationary contracts. If you're a brand new teacher, that is a 3-year probationary contract. What we would like to propose is this. All new teachers to the district shall be placed on a 1-year probationary contract for 3 consecutive years before being offered a continuing contract. That is certainly going to benefit principals and campuses. For example, myself, when I came here to the district, I came from another district. I taught 1 year, and then miraculously I had a continuing contract, which scared me because I saw all the people getting contracts and I didn't have one. I was like, uh-oh. But this plan will allow those teachers coming in from other districts more than just 1 year for the principal to really evaluate their teaching ability. And that will be beneficial to our students, that will be beneficial to our campus, and that will be beneficial to all concerned.
So if you have a master teacher that for whatever reason moves here, and now they're on a 3-year probationary contract, which is very different from a 1-year contract, which probationary pretty much says, hey, you know what? We don't have to give a justification for having to let you go. If we get quality teachers coming in from other districts for whatever reason, I mean, I'm sure we've already vetted them. How is that beneficial to our district?
Well, I believe that if you have a master teacher coming in, they're going to shine in their appraisals. You may have a teacher that comes in from another district that kind of flies under the radar, and then they receive a continuing contract. What this is, all new teachers are going to receive 1-year probationary contract for 3 consecutive years. It just gives HR a little bit more availability or flexibility in making sure that we have high quality teachers for our students.
I understand that. I mean, I got that from the report. What I'm asking is, how does...
If you don't mind, I'll just to kind of clarify. I've got family that works in all kinds of different districts, everything from LaPorte to Clear Lake to Channelview, you name it, we've kind of been there. And there are multiple districts that already do a one-year contract, especially on the teaching level.
I work at one.
Okay, and so then you understand that even though it's probationary, if you are a master teacher, then that's not really something that concerns you. You know that you have that job, and if it's a probationary situation, that you know that after 3 years you then go to a continuing contract, that really isn't a disconcerting thing. That's just something that this is what the district has. This is going to be what we want to be the protocol, so that it's more of a safety thing, not for the teacher, but for the school and for the whole school's environment, so that we can make sure that that master teacher or whoever's coming in is a highly qualified teacher and is going to be the best thing for our students.
Once a person comes off a probationary contract, do we currently immediately put them on continuing, or is it a term contract?
It's
Continuing. That's I was going to point out that we're one of the few districts in the state that still give continuing contracts. What I see in this section of the DOI is that we're protecting our continuing contracts a little more, so that one person that comes into our district with glowing references pleases us for 1 year and then gets that continuing contract, and all of a sudden they tank it. This gives the principal 3 years in order to make sure that this is truly a quality candidate, and not just a quality candidate because they can jump through the hoops for 1 year. That's what I see in this part.
I mean, that goes to what you're saying. I just don't understand if I work at a school district with year-to-year contracts, and I have certain protections I have certain things that protect me because it's a one-year term contract versus a probationary. The probationary, if the principal don't like me, I'm done. And I mean, this is our district of innovation, right? This is our work. Why can't we put in a probationary contract and 2 one-year contracts or something, so where you have a little protection for the employee coming in, for the teacher coming in, versus giving all the benefit of the doubt to, because it is a year, of transition as it is.
No, and I completely understand that. The point that I would kind of make to necessarily kind of counteract that is, if we have a principal who's going out after teachers just because they don't like them, then really and truly that's not the issue. The probationary contract's not the issue. It's the administration that we have, if that's what's taking place. And so really and truly, this just makes sure that the school gets someone highly qualified, and at the same time, that master teacher, they know that after that 3-year probationary period, they get a continuing contract, which very few, I think there's 5 districts maybe in the state of Texas that make that claim, or 3, excuse me, the 3 that actually can make that claim. So if you are a master teacher, that is just something that you will have to go through to achieve your goal to work in this district.
I like the idea, because even new teachers have maybe a 3rd opportunity to prove themselves. You know, after 2 years of probationary, if maybe they haven't quite got their feet under them or found the great place in the campus where they should be, there's the opportunity for them to get 1 more year to prove that they're going to be a good fit for our district. So you could look at it that way, protecting employees and new ones coming into the district. They have another opportunity to really find their spot here where they can shine. That gives them a little extra protection, and still giving the protection to the campus, where if they just aren't going to work, they aren't going to work.
They already have that if they're new, and with an option of even a 4th period year. As far as the new teachers, they already have a 3-year probationary before they can get a continuous. And like I said, with an option for 4th, I guess if the principal feels.
So then,
that's for yes, that's for a first-year ever teacher. What I think this applies to more is someone who has 5 of the last 8 years teaching, and they move
district.
Right. For example, when I came here, I had 15 years teaching experience, and I've done 15 years at Lee. That first year I had a probationary. The second year I signed a contract, and then I was told it was continuing. And that, I mean, it's like being tenured at a college or university. In this case, if we have a teacher who comes in that's it's really great in the interview process and everything else, and makes it through that first year, now they're on continuing, and they may take. It may be that they just did the motions. And this way it protects you, it protects our students, it protects everyone, and gives us the best opportunity.
Any further questions? All right. Now this part is just basically reiterating the duty-free lunch that teachers currently have. We wanted to put that in there so that teachers wouldn't have any concern with District of Innovation maybe taking this away. So we wanted to make sure that it was posted. That way no concerns would raise.
That's already a part of our regular practice?
Correct. These are all just basic things that we already do. We just wanted to make sure that for the teachers that this is something, because it was one of the things that before we even created a plan, that kind of rumors and things like that with District of Innovation that teachers were really concerned over was duty-free lunches being taken away, conference times being taken away, which is our next slide. And so we wanted to make sure to set their mind at ease to put it in actual writing and put it in the actual agenda that these are not going to be touched, that we're going to continue following state of Texas law, and that nothing will be changed regarding it. And so, like I said, this is the same thing, what we have here with conference and planning preparation time. Any other questions?
Again, reading from the document that was posted.
Okay.
There's a Roman numeral 5 that says, inhibiting statutes to the district's academic progress. And these last two slides about duty-free lunch and planning and preparation time are sub-paragraphs of that Roman numeral 5. So is there any chance that 4 years from now, when none of us are here anymore, somebody's going to read Let's just pretend.
Mr. O'Brien is like, uh-oh.
But it could happen for a term of 5 years. I mean, stranger things have happened in Goose Creek. Is there any chance that that's going to be interpreted as an exemption instead of a, we are maintaining this because of the way it's listed in the plan? And this is the plan that's going to be sent to the commissioner for posting, right? And I'm asking this question because I've read probably 100 DOI plans, and none of them say we're going to keep doing this in this fashion. They put them in a whole separate section of their plan to clarify that these are things we promise our teachers or our parents we're not going to touch.
Well, as written, to our understanding when we created it, that by putting it in there, that it will not be touched, that it can't be touched, because once it's approved, it has to fall through its time period before it is created again after that five-year time period. So it's not anything that could be changed in like 2 to 3 years. So it would have to be there.
Now, if there was a recommendation to adjust the plan, say 2 years from now or 4 years when everybody's gone,
right.
It has to go through the entire process. It has to go back to committee. It has to be approved by the ILC. It has to be approved by the board. But at any point, we can also determine that we don't want to continue the plan anymore, and we can eliminate it completely.
Right.
But there are safeguards that are put in place so that the new board in 4 years could not come and just change it and say, here you go, this is what we're doing.
Right, I understand that. Thank you.
I thought it was under review every 5 years only.
That's correct.
It can be amended or rescinded if we
At any time.
make a vote to do so.
Right. It's a 5-year plan.
I'll ask my question when I'll ask my question when we vote.
Is there an exact list of exemptions we're seeking? A list of the exact codes that we're seeking exemption from?
Those are listed in the plan. We have it aligned to each education code, and we have those quoted.
I believe we're going to file a Texas Administrative Code form that's a checklist.
Correct.
What's going to be checked on that?
Exactly what you see in the plan is what would be checked on that.
So we're going to check Yeah. We're going to check 21.003. Actually, let's start with the calendar. We're going to do 25.0811.
Yes, sir.
Are we going to do anything about the last day of school? No? With testing, I don't see how we can.
We have to follow exactly whatever's written, we have to follow it exactly to the T. So if it's all about starting time period, we'd have to follow
I think it's funny that this code for the last day of school can't be before May 15th, but we have ACT test and AP test until the 18th and 19th, 20th some years. Then the next exemption we're going to check is going to be 21.003.
Yes, sir.
And the next one is going to be 25.112.
Yes, sir.
And the next one's going to be 25.113. And that's it. We're not going to, 21.102.
Yes, sir.
Then we are not going to check 21.405. We are not going to check 405, 404 about the planning and lunch times.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Any other questions? One other question. What was your vote at the ILC when the final plan was voted on?
Oh, goodness gracious.
2 against, and it was like 26-4.
Thank you.
It was overwhelming.
Yeah. I think it was
And
actually 27-2.
Anonymous vote. They used clickers.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Having no other questions, we'll dismiss the committee. Thank you very much for your work and your time away from home tonight. Thank you. Thank you to all committee members.
Sorry, take it away from me.
Our next superintendent's report will be the 2017-18 TRS medical insurance changes as being proposed by TRS, and that would be coming from Stephanie Myers and Tyrone Sylvester and Eloy Chapin. They'll come on up.
Mr. Richard, Mr. O'Brien, and members of the board, good evening. The HR and Benefits Department would like to share recent release from TRS rate increases that will be affecting our employees this next school year. With me tonight is Dr. Sylvester, HR Director for Secondary Campuses, and Mrs. Stephanie Myers, our benefits coordinators, who will be sharing this information. Greetings and good evening. On June the 1st, TRS released the new 2017-2018 insurance rates. These rates have some implications for our employees, and so we wanted to take this opportunity this evening to bring it to your level of awareness so that you all are fully aware of what our employees will be facing as we embark upon the new rates for the TRS system. At this time, I have Ms. Stephanie Myers, who's going to take us further into the presentation to kind of give us some clarity in regards to how we need to move forward and some things that the state has put in place moving forward. Ms. Myers.
Good evening. So I'm going to go over some of the changes that will affect the employees for next school year, which will be effective on September the 1st, 2017. One of the first changes is going to be the plan design. The plan design, currently right now we have 3 plans to choose from TRS, and y'all may already know this, but we have the high deductible plan, the select plan, and also the Care 2 plan. So for the next year, TRS has implemented some changes to the in-network maximum out-of-pocket limit on the select 2 plan and also the select plan. We also have some out-of-network deductible changes that has doubled from last year to this year, the new year. And then we also have the out-of-network maximum out-of-pocket limit that is also doubled from last year to this year for our employees, as well as the ER copay has gone from $150 to $200 per visit. The current rates are listed here on what employees are currently paying for each plan. The rates for next year are listed here. There are two groups of employees that are impacted the most, and it's employees who are enrolled in the employee and spouse plan, and also employees enrolled in the employee and family plan. On the high deductible plan, there's a little bit of an increase, but on the select and the care 2 plan is where you see the major increases. So on the select plan, family is actually increasing by $228 per month, and then annually that's $27.36. And then on the care 2 plan for the employee and family, it's increasing $407 a month, and that's an annual increase of $4,884 a month.
So what we've done for your convenience, I know that we're looking at a proposal of 2% increase for all employees. So what we have here is a graph that kind of shows what an employee would need to make in order for their 2% increase to cover the changes in the new rates. So I want to call your attention to, first of all, the high deductible plan with the employee and spouse, as Ms. Myers alluded to. You can see there's a $77 increase per month for those individuals on that plan. So that means that an individual will need to make $46,200 in order for the 2% raise to cover the increase in insurance cost. High deductible employee family plan, there's an increase of $85 per month. That means an individual will need to be making $51,000 in order for their raise to cover the increase to their insurance. Employee spouse, for the select plan, there's an increase of $117, which means that an employee would need to make $70,200 in order for the 2% increase to cover their insurance costs. Employee and family, for select, there's an increase of $228, which means an employee would need to be making $136,800 in order for their 2% increase to cover their new insurance rates. Employee spouse for care 2 is an increase of $142, which means an employee would need to be making $85,200 in order for the 2% to cover the additional costs. And then for employee and family for the care 2 plan is an increase of $407 per, which means an employee would need to be making $244,200 in order for their 2% increase to cover the insurance costs as presented by TRS. We wanted to give you all that information so that you can have it and be aware of kind of what some of our employees are going to be up against as we prepare to roll out the plans for the upcoming 2017. Are there any questions that we can answer for you all at this time?
Yes. Where are the statistics on how many of our employees is on each of these 12 different plans?
If you look at this right here, it has enrolled for each plan. It's there from the end.
Where it has enrollment numbers.
Enrollment number, if you go down, and it shows the number of individuals on each of those plans. Interestingly, we have 91 employees that are on the employee family plan, that's the Care 2 plan, and we even looked into some of the individuals on those plans, and some of those individuals are our auxiliary employees. We have some auxiliary employees, and what's interesting is that we didn't know is that people who are on a Care 2 plan, most of the time they're on there for a reason. They have a pre-existing condition that they have a certain doctor they have to go to. So people who are on that plan are on that plan for a reason. And so that's going to be significant because $407 additional dollars a month is a significant increase.
Any questions?
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll bring mine and sort to you next time.
They're getting worse and worse every year. Legislation needs to tear us up, right? Stick it out.
Right now, it's at what?
Okay. Next on our agenda, we are at 8 action items. 8A is consideration and approve the adoption of the 2017-18 proposed budgets for the general fund, debt service, and school nutrition funds. Just to let you guys know, by law, we have to have this approved by June 30th.
I'll make a motion that we accept the budgets as presented.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Clem, a second from Mr. Ben Poppy to approve adopting the 17-18 budget as proposed this evening and in our board packet. Any discussion?
Even though I made the motion, I have a question. Once the special session has ended and things may not change, can we amend this budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything we do can be amended, and you will find that over the course of the year, the budget will probably be amended probably by once a month, Ms. Grimes? So that make about once a month you come to us
Once a quarter.
amendments? Once a quarter.
Okay.
Once a quarter.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your right hand. The motion carries 6 in the affirmative, 1 absent. Okay. Next item of action, B, consideration of the 2017-18 compensation plan.
Move for approval.
I'll second the motion.
Motion from Mr. Laredo, a second from Ms. Woods to approve the compensation plan as approved. Any questions?
This will not be changed irregardless of the special session.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other
Something
questions?
was taking away more than what we determined.
So it would have to be a big, it'd have to be a meteor.
Right.
Okay.
Hearing no other questions, call for a vote. All in favor of the proposal, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6 in the affirmative, 1 absent. Okay. Board, I would like to take action items C and D and move those to be considered after item H on our agenda. I've consulted with Mr. Peoples, and he has informed me that I can adjust the agenda in that fashion. We are going to consider it, but after item H. We now move to E, consideration of consent agenda.
In consideration of consent agenda, item E1, anticipated 2017 tax collection rate. 2, donation from ExxonMobil. 3, donation from Highlands Rotary Club. 4, agreement with Cindy Freeman to provide physical therapy services. 5, agreement with Learning Continuum to provide direct services related to autism and behavior disorders. 6, agreement between Goose Creek CISD and Bilingual Speech Therapy of Houston. 7, agreement for specialized services with Harris County Department of Education Academic Behavior Center, ABC. 8, revision to FFA local, student welfare, wellness, and health services as presented. 9, memorandum of understanding with Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program, JJAEP. 10, RAWE contract. 11, order authorizing the conversion of the 2035 term bonds. 12, first option to extend competitive seal proposal, CSP, for transportation equipment, supplies, and services. 13, first option to extend request for proposal, RFP, for plumbing contractor, time and material. 14, first option to extend RFP for maintenance, repair of gymnasium and other hardwood floors. 15, legal services agreement for board counsel. 16, tax refunds.
Are there any of the 16 items on the consent agenda that anyone on the board would like to pull for individual consideration?
I got a question about the hardwood floors, and it says other. Do we have, besides the gymnasiums, do we have any other facilities that have hardwood floors?
Dance studios.
Dance studios.
Ms. Garcia?
Stages and dance
stages. Okay. I'm just curious because when it said other, I'm like,
I'm waiting for the answer. What was the answer?
Stages and dance.
Stages and dance studios. Okay, thank you. I did not hear that, and I don't think we picked that up on the audio. Okay.
Number 10, can we pull that, please?
All right.
Broadway contract.
Yeah.
Any others to be pulled? Okay, we will pull item 10. Seek a motion for items 1 through 9 and 11 through 16.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Laredo, a second from Mr. Clem, that we approve items E1 through 9 and E11 through 16. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries 6 in the affirmative with 1 absent. Okay, now we move to 10, RA-WE contract.
I've done my very best to understand all these acronyms, but I'd like to know what's A to A and what is RA-WE and what services do they provide us?
All right, we have Jana and Araceli here. Would y'all like to cover that real quickly?
Yes, A2A is the...
Please come forward.
I have a big mouth. Is your question from back there?
We're changing providers is basically what it boils down to for services.
I'd like to know what they do.
Okay, both of them are attendance contract services to address truancy. We found that RA-WE, and it doesn't really stand for anything, I'll be honest with you. Right. RA-WE provides more research-based interventions. It comes to us at a lesser price after the first year of an initial payment. One of the most appealing things about RA-WE was the ability for campus principals to see every day the loss of revenue for the kids that were absent. Mm-hmm. So it has a dashboard that when the principals log in, they'll know based on the number of absences they have the revenue that's being lost in ADA. A2A is a good company. It's not a Texas-based company, so it does not offer nearly the features that RA-WE does. Okay. And it comes to us at a greater price in the long run.
The loss of attendance dollars that you just mentioned, is that just the chronically truant, or is that daily?
Daily.
What does it do for those chronically absent students?
It provides multiple interventions, research-based interventions. Because they're a Texas-based company, it also is very familiar with the necessary documents and interventions that we have to produce before we move forward to referring the students and their families to a court system should we do that based on the outcome of the interventions.
And this is a software, right?
Yes, sir.
Once the software is up and running, do we still receive services from the company?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
On a yearly basis.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Questions?
Any other questions?
To move for approval.
Thanks, Ms. Dela Cruz.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Motion from Ms. Laredo, second from Ms. Woods to approve consent agenda item E10, RA-WE contract. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6 in the affirmative, 1 absent. Okay. Future board agenda items, board trainings, and board meetings. Any of those F1, 2, and 3, does any board member have any input on or questions about?
Just that the board will be receiving quite a bit of training next week as we go to summer leadership.
I believe that's the end of this week, sir.
Oh,
I sure hope it's this week.
This week.
Because I will be out of the country next week.
I will be next week.
Oh, he will get it next week, right.
Yes, and then Mr. Poppy and I will be visiting you guys on the 7th of July.
July 7th.
Orientation. Right. So maybe we'll finally know what's going on.
It's a trade secret. Hearing none, we'll move to item G, closed meeting. The board will now recess into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Governmental Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.075, 551.076, 551.082, 551.083, 551.084, 551.087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. reconvene into open session. Just make note that no decisions were made while the board was in closed session and that Mr. Pete Poppy arrived at 8 p.m. Thank you. All right, so agenda. Okay. We have two items that were moved to after the closed session, so before we get into the I, we're going to go back to C, consideration of approval of District of Innovation Plan.
I move to approve.
A second.
We have a motion from Ms. Woods, a second from Mr. Poppy, to approve the District of Innovation Plan as presented this evening. Is there any discussion? Okay.
My understanding, it takes 5 votes for this to pass.
Thank you. Okay. Just to let you know. Okay. Question. Go.
In 5 years, when this comes back, does it require a 2/3 vote again?
Yes. Yes. This motion by law requires a 2/3 vote of the present board meetings with 7 board members present. For this motion to be affirmed, it must have 5 votes or more. We have a motion from Ms. Woods, a second from Mr. Poppy. Any further discussion? All in favor of this proposal, please raise your right hand. Keep them up for me. All opposed? Motion fails 4 in the affirmative, 3 against. It does not have a 2/3 vote.
Please give the committee, thank them for all their hard work. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. You went back to your campuses, you brought forth the concerns that were addressed in the resolution, and all I can say is I feel that we let down our students and our community today by not passing this District of Innovation.
I would agree with Mr. Poppy. I appreciate all the hard work that you did, and I hope that in the future we can do a better job of accommodating what our teachers are asking for.
Action item 8D, consideration of hiring a director of a director of the Education Foundation.
I'll move to approve.
I second.
I'm sorry, who came?
I second.
Okay. We have a motion from Ms. Woods, a second from Mr. Ben Poppy to approve the hiring of a director of Education Foundation. Is there any discussion?
Just to clarify, the current foundation board is aware of this proposal.
It came from them, yes, sir.
Okay.
It came from them.
Thank you.
Yes. No further questions. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. That motion passes 7 in the affirmative.
And thank you to the Education Foundation Board for working so hard on this initiative as well.
All right. Agenda item I, consideration of personnel. Mr. O'Brien.
Yes, I have elections to present to you on page 182. I submit to you numbers 1 through 4 and numbers 6 and 7 with the exclusion of number 5 due to a technical difficulty on contract date.
Seek a motion.
I move that we approve the elections 1 through 4 and 6 through
8.
7. 8.
7.
7.
Yes.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Woods, a second from Mr. Laredo to approve election of teachers numbers 1 through 4 and 6 and 7. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-4-0 against.
Administration recommends accepting the resignations and retirements in the superintendent-approved elections as presented.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Laredo, second from Mr. Clem to accept the resignations and retirements and the notification of personnel action made by superintendent. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Administration recommends Ruth White as counselor at Robert E. Lee High School.
That's just one recommendation, right?
We usually do administrative
We'll do it
elections
individually.
separately.
Yes, we're going to do it individually.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Laredo, second from Mr. Clem for the election of Ruth White as counselor. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-4-0 against.
The administration makes a recommendation for election of Allison Higdon as college and career counselor at Robert E. Lee High School.
What page are you on?
Move to approve.
Okay, I'm trying to get to get the names right.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion from Mr. Clem, second from Ms. Woods to approve the appointment of, again, I'm on 196, of Allison Higdon as career and college counselor at Robert E. Lee. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7 in the affirmative, 0 against. Online now, okay?
Individual or together. Individual or together.
Oh, now going back up?
No, we're on 198
No, we're on that one.
now.
I'm here. Yeah, I've caught up now.
Administration recommends the election of student support administrators Cody Griffin, Brittany Griffith, Arisha Aber, Judy Mackion, Melissa May, Talis Onowin, Angela Putman, Erica Smith, and Imelda Valdez.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Woods, second from Mr. Laredo to approve the elections of Cody Griffin, Brittany Griffith, Arisha Aber, or Hebert, Judy McKeon, Melissa May, Talis Onawan, and Angela Putnam, and Erica Smith as student support administrators, and Imelda Valadez at the assigned schools in our packet. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Those elections carry 7-4-0 against.
Administration recommends for coordinator of mathematics, Amy Henderson.
Move to approve.
Second. I second.
We have a motion from Ms. Woods, a second from Mr. Ben Poppy to approve the election of Amy Henderson as a coordinator of mathematics. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Administration makes a recommendation for an election of Catherine Cruz as principal of Johnny T. Clark.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Laredo, second from Mr. Clem to approve Catherine Cruz as principal at Johnny T. Clark Elementary. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Administration recommends election of Andrea Zepeda as principal of Alamo Elementary.
I make the motion. My second.
Okay. Motion from Mr. Laredo, second from Mr. P. Poppy for Andrea's approval, election, Andrea Zepeda, Alamo Elementary. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Brings us to the last item on our agenda is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion from Mr. Clem, a second from Mr. Woods to adjourn for this evening. Any discussion? All in favor? Raise your right hand.